welcome back to another Coach Dave Academy Lap Guide video. Today we're in the FIF 4 car at Zandvoort. My name is Bart and here's the hot lap. Alright, going down the main straight now at Circuit Park Zandvoort into turn 1, third gear, banked, quite tricky corner, probably the best overtaking spot on the track as well. Main thing here is probably two major things. One is the braking zone. There is a big bump in this braking zone, you'll see this here. So just now, just about the 50-meter board, just after that, there's quite a big crest. You're going to want the car's going to want to lock up, especially on the inside front. It happens in every car. This car's especially bad with locking up, especially on the front axle. So if you look at the bottom left, I hit the brake, come off a bit, and then hit the brake again. So you can, because a lot of people I think find, I can't brake late enough into this corner. So they always feel like they do everything early, or they just lock up and kind of drift wide. The way to get around that feeling, right, is just by braking, having a peak, coming off for the bump, and then back on again. That will allow you to push your brake in a little bit later, and before the crest, I'm actually hitting basically 100% brake pressure because it is a grippy braking zone and a grippy track in general. So yeah, keep that in mind. Next thing is we don't need to run to the white line. We can run a little bit wide of the apex here. See, only just about clip it, but on the entry especially, you should you're looking to get around here, and then as soon as you get there, very aggressive throttle pickup. Use all the exit curb. On this model, it's quite a soft curb, quite safe. Unable to do that in the real cars, you'll see if you watch on board. But yeah, here you can be very aggressive. So it's all about just carrying that speed, getting it turned nice and deep into the corner, and getting on throttle very quick. Now here, turn 2, using the entry curb on the left-hand side of the track. That's the first part of it. And also prepping yourself for the bank turn 3. So quite a tricky section here, one of the most important parts of the track. Going over to the left, so initially, main thing is getting on the left curbing, and for the right-hander, which I believe is in, yeah, 4th gear, it's just a soft brake. Important to carry speed here, yes, but you don't want to compromise your exit out of here, turn 3, your longest exit on the whole track. So it's really important to get a good exit out of here, and if you brake too late, if you push your entry too much at turn 2, you end up on the left-hand side of the track, you end up over here somewhere, you really narrow off the entry to here. So that's the first thing. These corners work together. You've got to keep turn 3 in mind whilst you're doing turn 2. So with that in mind, use the entry curbing here, soft little touch on the brake. Try and get on the inside curb, kind of hooks it up a bit. This car does like that in general. I know I've spoken about that before on the lap guides, is if we can get onto some inside curbs to kind of hook the car up before we can kind of attack the throttle a bit more. Is quite good. So you can see there, I get on the throttle once I get on the curb. Also just helps us keep to the right-hand side of the track and position better. Okay, so we really want to come around that side of the curb, around the, you can see the end of this right curb here. We just want to meet that part of the track as we go into the banked left-hander. And then for the banked corner here, Very tricky this. So I need you to think about when people think about corner, like getting a good exit out of a corner, they often think, okay, I've got to really slow the car down, pair it, get it rotated early, get on throttle nice and early, very good exit. Can't push my braking too late, which isn't always true. But in this corner, especially, the amount of speed you can roll, so your minimum speed, your slowest point in the corner, if you can raise that, if you can carry more speed in, it will help your exit. The reason for that is because of the nature of the banking. So if you roll more speed in, you'll end up higher up the banking. And if you're higher up the banking, you'll have more camber because the road's banked more, right? Like on an oval. So if you do that, you'll have more grip. So you kind of want to force yourself to be driven in deep into the corner, so up higher into the banking. The other reason is because just the shape of the corner, and it's such a fast throttle pickup, and we're using a bit of downforce here. The amount of speed you carry in will also just equate to a better exit speed, because you're kind of, let's just say, going in a bit slower doesn't really help you gun throttle any earlier, right? Combined with the extra grip on top. So you can see here, I get back here, it's tricky because it's a corner. You're never fully left or fully right, no white lines or anything. You can see here we're about 2/3 to the right-hand side of the track. There is also a rubber line. There's a darker part of the track. You can see I don't really deviate from this darker part of the track. So I'm getting back as far as that darker patch goes. So that's a good reference there. And once you get into there, really soft brake. Just a little bit of brake just to keep the weight on the nose. Slow the car down a little bit. You're really trying to help that rotation. Really put the lock on in the mid-corner here once you get off this. There's quite a bad bump here on the iRacing model. Like, whoa. As you go into the banking, if you brake too aggressively or turn too aggressively, you will get a bit of a moment on that bump, so keep that in mind. The main thing is, just drive it in. Too many people slow the car down too much here. Be brave, okay? Be brave. Commit on the entry. It will help your exit. And look up here. Look up here where you're going. Don't look into the apex. The apex is a waste of time, okay? Look for where your slowest point's going to be up here somewhere. And then really turn the wheel. Like, really turn the wheel. You won't get punished too much for putting too much lock on here, which is rare, especially on iRacing in this car. But we've really got to use the wheel here, turn it hard, and get on the throttle very aggressively, okay? Force ourselves. It should be very hard to keep the car on the track, on the exit of the corner, yeah? Using all the exit curve. If you haven't, if it's not difficult, then it means you probably need to carry more speed into the corner. Which will make it more difficult to keep the car on the track when you get on the throttle aggressively. Okay. So, now we've got a good exit out of there, hopefully. We're just trying to be smooth on the steering. Not so much going here. Reduce the distance. Smooth on the steering through the left-hander here. Stay on the white line here on the right, just so you can see where this little curb is on the service road. Just, it's a good reference to have to position yourself consistently every time for the upcoming part of the track. Get over to the left-hand side of the track. In terms of vision, so where we're looking here, you want to be looking about here, and then look up here. See where this marshal's hut is? You can kind of look into that space. It's where the white line is. It's going to take practice. It is difficult. I've seen a lot of people struggle with this before. Consistently positioning there, very important, especially for this entry and your exit afterwards. So, very soft brake, pretty much braking when we go past this service road on the left-hand side, or maybe just before. I would prefer being on the earlier side here. If you're late here, you never get it back. You run wide, you take extra distance, you kind of upset the car. Not a great thing to do. Whereas if you're a little bit early, it doesn't hurt you too much here. Our main thing is soft brake, even if it's a bit early. Soft brake, keep the car tight. There's a little bit of camber in tight. Get nice and close to the curb. Full throttle just about when you pass the curb. Force yourself all the way out into the exit curb here. And straight away, keep the car on the left-hand side, positioning. Another soft brake, very similar technique. The always corner is just about carrying speed. And then when you get on throttle quickly, because in this car, if you're too slow to full throttle, you'll just understeer, especially on the fixed setup. So be really aggressive. We're trying to reduce this understeer that's inherent in the setup and kind of just the way this track is. We're trying to reduce that as much as possible. So we have these soft brakes, carry the speed, and then bang, straight on throttle. Really get the car turned in the middle of the corner. Use all the exit curb. Again, look in really early here. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is look in early. Do everything early for this right-hander. If you do everything late, everything feels tricky, right? Okay, so just bring it all back. Do it early. Down to third gear here. Difficult to be straight. You can see kind of in line with this post over here. But very quickly, we start to combine and steer while we're braking into this corner. Be very careful not to put too much lock on into this right-hander. until you've got off the brake pedal. So you can see my brake pressure here, brake a bit harder, come out of it, put some lock on, down to third, get really tight to that curb, early throttle pick up, force yourself out wide, back to the right hand side of the track. You do not have to reach the white hand line. You probably will never reach the white line. If you're certainly if you're carrying enough speed through the previous corner, you won't. So don't worry about that. Aim to get back. You're not going to make it all the way. Not super important, especially with the way the camber is. Nürburgring turn 2 is slightly like this as well. You actually want to be half a car from the edge of the track rather than at the actual edge of the track. Again, this darker patch rubber line you can kind of see on iRacing does actually assist you here. We're kind of on the edge of that. We don't really want to be over there right next to the service road. Okay. The rest of this, two things. Exit, exit, exit is the first one. Let's always think about our exit here. I think it's a corner where people, they push the entry. They're afraid of meeting the inside curve too early. They try to carry too much speed. It's easy to lose the rear. They get a bit lost around it because like it's so long. Where am I? And you're also positioning can be difficult because you're always in a different position coming out of the previous corner, and the car's like constantly under load. So those things in mind. Just always think about preparing for the exit. Okay. Now, secondly, well, it's also part of doing that is let's get a little bit of a straight car for a second here, right? When we hit the brake pedal, if we're actually going to stop the car properly, especially this car, we need to have a moment where we just get the wheel straight a bit. So you can see here, just as I brake, cut the steering lock a little bit, just for a little dab on the brake pedal, just to get the car stopped a little bit, off quite quickly. The reason why I'm doing that is because I know I can't combine. I can't have steering on, like this much steering, while I'm braking, okay? So as soon as I get a little bit of stopping done, I'm turning into the corner. That's what I'd recommend as well, that feeling of just, like, I'm not going to hold the brake, I'm just going to have a little bit on the brake, a little bit of time on the brake, I'm going to get the car kind of momentarily straight just for a fraction of a second, around about where the service road is, just before, and then I'm just going to come with the brake and I'm going to lean on the steering. You just got to turn in. You just got to come with the brake and turn in. That's how it is here. Try and get to the inside curb. Ideally, you don't want to hit it. Ideally, you don't want to be too far away from it either. Makes it very tricky. You can see here I get about half a car. That's your range generally. Is if you can be within a car width of the inside white line there, then you're doing a good job. So that's the main thing. Get it rotated. Get off the lock. You go on full throttle. I don't end up using all the curb there, but the main thing is that I got off the lock quickly. That curb can actually hold you up a little bit. So don't feel like every single time you have to be all over the exit curb there. Main thing is that rotation, be able to get the wheel turned, and then be able to come off the lock quite quick and get a good exit out of there. So now I've got through that part of the track into this interesting right-left here. Braking late. I found that whenever I tried to brake early and prepare this section, I just lost time. So first thing is just push the braking into the right, okay? Down to third gear. Heavy braking as well. You can see almost 100% brake pressure. You'll sustain that heavy braking for a little bit. And then as soon as you turn in, same as normal with this car, come out of the brake very quickly, yeah? Down to a very low percentage, like 20% and off as we go through the right-hand apex. You can hit the sausage curb. I don't think it's much better or worse. Like, you bounce a little bit, but your distance is a little bit better. I just say get as close to it as possible, to be completely honest with you, from a consistency point and just a carrying speed through the corner kind of thing. White line there, straight, get next to that curb. Then this is where I like having a little bit of I just pick up through a little bit here. You should have to carry enough speed into this left-hander with this car, and that'll also allow you to have a little brush on the brake. You'll see I'll actually brake a bit into this left-hander, and that just little brake helps the car, helps us put some weight on the nose, which means we're going to have more front grip. We're going to turn a bit better through left-hander. It's going to help our exit. So I like just carrying the speed a little bit through here, a bit like the Ultimate Park chicane in some ways. A little bit of throttle on there, soft brake, get it into the camber. That is super important. Above everything else, we need to be on this curb, like all over this curb. The gravel will slow you down, yes, but this curb's very grippy and it's cambered, so we need to be tight. If you go wide here, you're just losing time and losing grip. It's not good. And then how early can you get it in and get on the throttle? Again, difficult to judge when to. You've just got to be looking up the whole time, looking for this exit, trying to look up to see the exit curb, where you're going to end up. References wise, it's before a bit before the tarmac begins on your left-hand side. Use all the exit curb here once again. Get back to the left-hand side, the last proper corner on the track. This quick right-hander, quite a tricky corner, deceptively tricky. You can use the inside curb to turn the car. I find that in this, yes, it'll kind of help you turn a bit, but then you kind of jump off it a bit and it just understeers later on. The curb's almost too early in the corner for really what you want. So I often find here, hold fourth gear, not a very heavy brake, but I just think don't use the inside curb consistently. Get close to it. You can kind of tap it a little bit. Depends, but you can also be very quick without using it, so don't feel like you have to hit it. I think getting back over to the left early is also a big thing as well. I think it's a corner where people are going to mess up a lot because they dip a wheel on the grass on the left-hand side. They're going to be inconsistent with how early they get back to the left, so please, when you start doing this track, get back to the left-hand side with at least a car length to spare, ideally by that 50-meter board. Then you're not rushing to turn in here, and you're not inconsistent with where you're turning in from. And you have this like little safety, you have the safety car line here, which is basically where you should be turning in from, is just before that. Little soft brake, again, all that carrying momentum here. I think it's more about carrying momentum than how early your throttle pickup is. Obviously they're both important, but I think it's actually more about that, at least in my experience with this car here. And yeah, like I said, don't really worry about the curb so much. What I'd more worry about is trying to get lock off, okay? So get a car rotated, throttle, turn to turn, but as soon as you can get lock off, right? Even if you can reduce the scrub as you're turning out to the exit curb there, I probably could have done a bit better with that on this lap. I found it makes a big difference on your run down the straight with this car. And then the last corner is obviously just easy, flat out, no DRS for us or anything. Just keep it tight to reduce the distance, and please reduce the scrub. Just helps to accelerate down the straight a little bit. And then we've come across the line, and that's the end of our lap at Zandvoort. Okay, so thanks for watching today's video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. You can also check out the Coach Dave Academy Discord in the YouTube video description. My name is Bart, and I'll see you next week. See ya.